Okay, this is the breakdown for the speech. First off, let's talk about Caesar in this speech, or at least Caesar's legacy, or his ambitions, or whatever. Caesar's ambition was to rule or oversee Rome without taking the throne of Rome itself, without becoming king, and he had control, or still had control over the armies. And because of this, it made Caesar appear to be a threat to the Roman Republic. And of course, Brutus in the beginning of the play even says that in some way he is a threat, because not only is the Republic already starting to fall, but also he's himself is already a threat, because is he has control over the arm. He still hasn't his control over the armies, and he's a not only that, but also a great big political figure, or political figure. Sure. In that regard, it makes him, and not only that, but he has also ambitions to change everything that Rome has been for probably the past hundreds of years as a republic. So they ended up, yeah, I think it was a little dusty there. Uh, so they ended up, crap. So inevitably, because of this, as they ended up seeing Caesar as a threat, because he was changing things in a way that no one liked it. While Cassius, he did not like Caesar, because he hated him. He didn't like him out of spite, because as in the wars that they fought, supposedly he had helped save Caesar a couple times, and of course when they came back, he was the hero. Caesar was the new ruler of Rome. He was the hero of Rome, and this ticked off Cassius to the point where Cassius himself is, he's kind of peeved off about it. He's envious, he's jealousy, and not only that, but he's also pretty ticked off that Caesar has refused the throne 3 times. 3 times he's refused to take the crown to become king of Rome. Oh, and of course, for Caesar's ambitions, ever so how foolish they might have been at the time, it eventually led to the creation of the Roman Empire, one of the biggest and greatest empires in the world. But however, the thing is, another point that's brought up in those ambitions, and it's eventually led to a long and infamous legacy of what Rome became and what it stands for. And there's a lot of things in society today that are still in some ways resemblance of Rome. We have athletes, we have sporting events. And it's back in the day, they were gladiators and charioting and races and all that kind of crap. Uh, all that kind of crap. And instead of an emperor, we have here in Canada we have a prime minister, or of course in Britain we have Queen Elizabeth, and all that kind of all that sort of thing. But and of course there are still dictators in other places, but it's more about. But the thing, sorry. And going back to another part of the speech when Mark Antony says, as the was it part of the speech or at least the thesis was is killing Caesar worth anything? And killing Caesar, in all honesty, it was pretty pointless. If you think about it, whether or not Caesar would have died or lived, if the Roman Empire would still be a thing. If Caesar had lived and his ambitions had come true, the Roman Empire would have become a thing regardless. But if he died and then Cassius and Brutus escaped the city, they tried making their own armies to take on Rome and possibly take it over or fight for what the beliefs they believed in, but in the end they ended up killing each other, and it led to Mark Antony and Octavius, or Octavian, or Augustus, or whatever he went by, to take over and eventually carry out Julius Caesar's ambitions and legacy on into the next several different emperors of Rome, turning Rome from a republic into an empire. In another part of the speech that he's actually kind of fun in a sort of a way, is that while he's mocking conspirators and Brutus, he's often referring Brutus as a honorable man. And in that sense, as he's actually planting the seeds for Brutus to think he's the more honorable man than Cassius or anybody else, because he's fighting for the old, what Rome used to be. He was fighting for the Roman Republic. And those delusions led him to end up fighting Cassius, because Cassius, because he was still so stuck up, he refused to help Brutus when the time came, and refused to help supply his soldiers with money and food and all kinds of stuff. So it ended up with the two sides actually murdering each other, and with Octavian and Mark Antony not getting involved. Well, and that's just like a fun little thing about that. And hang on just a moment. What's the book here? Sorry. Here we are. Another part, as he says, that part of this is that when he's talking about when Mark Antony is talking about Caesar, he talks to him about him as if he was a loyal person, and he was a loyal friend. And as he says, he was a loyal friend, even though he was a loyal friend and somewhat of an honorable person. But even so, he did still take prisoners. He still took captives from other nations and cities he conquered. So he was merciful, but of course we have to remember those captives either became prisoners, gladiators, or in this case they ended up becoming slaves or servants, or sold to be slaves to other people. And he was. And the thing is, he also mentions that he did supposedly cry or feel for the poor and unfortunate, meaning that he was not only a merciful person, but he was also someone that was somewhat decent, even though for all the bad things he's done. And then when he mentions about Caesar being dead, he mentions that he has done some bad things in his time, but he's also done some good, and he might do more good in his death. Or better, do things better than death. And he says he does love his friend, and everyone else seems to love him too. However, and also he says he will not he loved him with cause, of course. And he does not disapprove of what Brutus spoke about Caesar's ambitions, because he was, as the play has shown, and the movie and history has shown, Julius Caesar was a very ambitious man, and when it came to certain things, and he does say that by the end, he says that my heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. It means that he does mourn for Caesar, but at the same time, he says, not now is the time for mourning. Not now the time for mourning, because as there are far more important things to do. And it seems kind of pointless, because I don't know, it just is, or would it seem. He says the breakdown video